Coming to Starlink, this is normally a whole separate company, but we're basically rebuilding the internet in space, which is pretty wild. Now it is, I want to emphasize, supplemental to the terrestrial internet. Sometimes people think, well, is Starlink just going to take over and destroy all the terrestrial internet? It definitely will not. But what it will do is Starlink will give access to the internet to people that either don't have access or where their access is extremely expensive or very, very bad access. So this is a massive enabler for enabling people in remote locations to learn anything. Like, you can basically learn almost anything for free on the internet right now. Like, for example, MIT has all of its lessons on YouTube. You can learn almost anything if you've got an internet connection. But if you don't have an internet connection, you're limited to, I guess, maybe you got some books or something, but not. Basically Starlink is a game changer for improving people's quality of life around the world. Like, this might be the single, well, certainly one of the, I think it might be the number one over time technology that improves people's standard of living around the world. It's certainly a candidate for potentially being the most profound thing that actually improves quality of life for people around the world, which would be really something to be proud of, obviously. The biggest single goal for Starlink from a technical standpoint is to get the mean latency below 20 milliseconds. So that actually makes it, for immediacy of, for actually the quality of internet experience, this is actually a really big deal. Also, if you play video games like I sometimes do, this is also important. Otherwise, you lose. So it's actually a very, very hard problem. But because we're a low Earth orbit constellation, the speed of light where do you think the speed of light is? 300 kilometers per millisecond. So if we're at 550 kilometers, think of it like roughly 2 milliseconds up, 2 milliseconds down. So if you go up, down, so 8 milliseconds speed of light limitation, and then almost everything else we can actually address. Like, we can't go faster than the speed of light yet, but probably ever. But we can get the rest of the time, I think, below 10 milliseconds, and so then it'll be more responsive than ground internet in most cases, which is really what we're after here. This is really amazing work. We also, let's see, this is animation of all the places where Starlink is active. So obviously, a lot of the Starlink activations depend on country approvals. So as we are able to get a country approval, then you see rapid adoption within a country. Hopefully we'll get most of the rest of the countries will get the approval hopefully this year, and we'll be able to go almost worldwide. Some countries are probably unlikely to approve our system, but most countries we think we should be able to get to. So, and our goal this year is to activate service in more than half of the world's population. So that'd be fantastic. But I do want to emphasize, because we're all going to put this presentation online, that Starlink is supplemental to terrestrial internet. It does not replace it. It is Starlink does really well for like low population density areas, but it is really not going to be competitive in high density cities, or it's really low density situations, which is really where the need is. So anyway, it works well with other internet providers, is what I'm saying. Then we've got community gateways. I'm told this is a town called Unalaska in Alaska. So that's a real place. So we're putting a lot more gateways down. As we increase the number of gateways, that improves latency. So we've now shipped our next-gen hardware. That's version 4 of the user terminal. So it allows us to lower the cost of Starlink. And we'll be introducing the Starlink Mini later this year, which can fit in a backpack. So that'll be pretty cool for anyone who wants a very portable Starlink. And then we just opened our Starlink factory in Bastrop, Texas. So that's just a little, about 20 minutes away from Austin. And this is going to be, yeah. I guess some of you guys are part of that. Yeah. In general, we're going to have like a massive round of applause for Starlink. That is for sure, because there's like the achievement level there is amazing. Actually, let's just have a massive round of applause. It's like, goddamn. Yeah. Sorry, it's hard to clap with this thing. Yeah, the Starlink achievements are really mind-blowing. So we also just recently launched our first direct-to-cell satellites, and we were able to send text messages directly from a phone to the satellite and then back down again. So we did intentionally misspell these things, by the way. Although actually when I first saw it, I was like, is this real? But it turns out it is in fact real. It's kind of amazing that you can actually close the link between a phone in your hand and a satellite that's hundreds of miles away. And the satellite can hear the tiny signal that your phone is outputting, which is like such a faint whisper, it's ridiculous. But it can actually somehow hear that faint whisper and be able to communicate with a phone is I think, it's one of those things like, I wasn't sure, is that actually physically possible? But it is. Now, I do want to emphasize this is also not a competitor to phone companies. This is something that will be supplemental, so it's going to be very helpful for remote areas where there's no cell connectivity, or once in a while within a city, if there is a place that has no connectivity within a city, then Starlink will be able to communicate with phones. But it's, I think it's something on the order of 7 megabits per second within a cell. And the cells are sort of hundreds of square miles or kilometers in size. So it's good for text messages. You could technically do video if you're the only one, or if there's only a few people in that cell. Like if you're in the middle of the Pacific or something like that, then, but it is something that is going to be very helpful and will, I think, save lives of people. If somebody's sort of hiking in a remote region and they get lost, well, now their phone could actually work, and I think it will actually save a lot of lives, which is cool. So. And then we have 7 announced partnerships. So we've got T-Mobile in the US, Rogers in Canada, Optus in Australia, One New Zealand, Salt in Switzerland, KDDI in Japan, and Entel in Chile and Peru. So, and we expect to announce a number of other telco partnerships this year. So this is definitely something where we're, again, in partnership with telcos. I just basically don't want telcos to get really mad at us. That's what I'm saying. We want to support the telcos.